On today's Tech Help for Churches, advanced features in church email newsletters. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. This is the show where every week we talk all about using the web, internet, new media, social media, etc. in your church. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. I'm your host. I'd love for you to join the conversation, by the way. So just leave your comment below the video. That's perfectly fine. Now you might be thinking, but Paul, I'm not listening to the video. I'm listening to the audio. No problem. Paul at trinitydigitalmedia.com. That's a good email address to get a hold of me. Or you can hit me up on Twitter, Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanClif. And by the way, what I do with these questions is I answer you directly as much as is possible, and I also answer many of them on the Friday show, the churchtechcast.com Q&A show. So head over and take a look at that, or listen. It's up to you. All available at trinitydigitalmedia.com. So, as we're winding down this series on church email newsletters, I was thinking, okay, what haven't I covered? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do if we're talking about email marketing, but a church newsletter is totally different. So, it occurred to me that there are some features that are used for email marketing that might be helpful in your church. So, I thought that we would take a look at those. So, join me over at my computer and we'll get started. So here we are over in my computer, and I've got a couple of features enabled, one of which is now a pay-only feature. The other one, after you've done it for a while, as I understand it, they might have changed this, but as I understand it, after you've used MailChimp for a while, they enable this feature, so kind of to encourage you to keep using it. So the first that I want to talk about is automation. So if we log in, this is the initial screen, go to the automation screen here. And this is really cool. What automation does is when someone is added to the list or other triggers, we can talk about those in a few minutes. When someone is added to the list or other triggers, it causes emails to be sent out to them automatically. In fact, what happened today is someone signed up for my list, and I have one of the first emails that people get is this one. Now you'll see down here, any questions, ? Sends one day after sign up or added to list, trinitydigitalmedia.com on 9 a.m. time on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. So if someone gets put on this list, or that's my main list, so I copy them from other places, then 9 a.m. that particular day, I will send them this message. So we can take a look here. I expect that there will not be anyone on this. So yeah, what I would need to do is, you see this just sent. So there's no one that needs it because this is one day after. So when someone next gets it, then that'll be there. So I've also got one. This is 2 days after signing up to the video course list. And I've got one for 4 weeks after being added to the Trinity Digital Media list. This is for 3 days after. So let's take a look at this one. Actually, I really wish, here, let me click that and click who will get this next. Okay, so I expect that we will see some people who will get this next. So we'll give this just a second to load. Let me try doing that again. Well, that clearly doesn't want to do it, but so what would happen is that we would get who is going to get this next on this list. So that, I don't know, no sends yet. Oh, so something is off with my automation here. That this has not been sent yet, so I need to check into it. But let me just show you how you do this. Basically, you create an automation workflow over here. We load that on up. Then you select the list. Let's say the main list here. Now I've got a few different choices. So one-time events, send an email based on a specific calendar day from a subscriber's date field. So I could do that based on a wedding anniversary or anything like that. Same thing for an annual recurring. Annual recurring recurs every year. One time is just when something happens. So these two features might be useful for your church. You could automatically send birthday greetings to the people in your church. So I'm going to select custom right here. And this is a slightly different feature than I've used before, so we might be learning about this together. So I would give it a name. Let's call it 1234. Oops, let me click in it, and 1234 is what I'll call it. This stuff looks very similar to when you do a new email message, which we had on a previous show. So now I have some choices. So I can trigger when a specific campaign is opened, they get this message. When any link in a campaign is clicked, they get this message. When a specific link in a campaign is clicked. Now, so that can be very helpful if someone clicks that they're interested in volunteering and they don't actually do anything. You could have a follow-up email send like a day later to say, hey, noticed you clicked that but you didn't actually sign up. What's up with that? Of course you'd want to say it nicer than that, but you get the point. We have some other choices as well. Now you can decide that this will be triggered for imported users or not. So that's a choice you would make. Segmentation condition, so you could say, okay, only if they're a part of this segment, or only if they meet the following conditions, and let's say they are part of a group. So I could say if they are in my beta readers group and right after they get added to this, then I'll send it. Now, I normally send my emails on Monday. So I'm going to leave that out so that these automatic ones can come on days when I don't typically send my regular email, so they're not getting multiples from me in a single day. And at what time should this be met? I can change this. I really like 9 a.m. That seems to work well with my group, and we'll talk about why that seems to work well here in just a second, how I figured that out. Then basically I go and I create the email, then I confirm it and enable it. So that's how that works. But let's go back here to the main menu by clicking on the little monkey face, and let's see here. What do I want to do? I want to create a new campaign, which I could have done right there. here. Let me just stop that and create a new campaign right here. So you'll notice that I've got 4 choices here. You probably only have 3. This is the advanced feature, A/B split campaign. So what I can do here is select A/B split campaign, and I can test different things. So what's particularly interesting from my standpoint is that I like to get people, as many people as possible, to open these things. So what I would do is I have a subject line, from name, delivery date, and times. So subject line, I can say First Church Hackensack monthly newsletter, or some little inside joke, or from the pastor, or whatever, and test that out and see if more people open just the generic First Church Hackensack monthly newsletter subject line, or if they open the from the pastor one. You know, I'm not going to lie here, but sometimes calling something different things will promote different responses. From names, is it a church administrator or is it the pastor that you get more opens from? Delivery date and time. This is what I was talking about earlier, where I tend to get the best luck by sending these at 9 a.m. on Mondays. So that's probably going to be different for your church. If that is, that's something that I would test as well. So that's yet another thing that you can test. Now you'll see that with these I've got a few different choices. So the test segment is 20% in the subject line test. Same thing in the from names test. The times, for whatever reason, you can only do 50% at one time and 50% at the other. So what you're going to want to do is test 2, and then with the winner, test the winner and another one, and just keep going week in and week out until you get, or month in or month out, whatever your schedule is, until you get the perfect delivery and open rate. With the from names and the subject lines, you could do what we had again, which was 50-50, and do that. Or you can keep it at 20-80 and you'll send to 20% one choice, 10% choice A, 10% choice B, and everybody else will get whichever one had the most opens. And I say opens, but you have some other choices. You have click rate and manual. So you can say, I'm going to choose this manually, or how many clicks I get, or how many opens I get, and how many days I want to wait. It could be that I want to do hours. And this actually makes sense when you think about the delivery dates and times, that if you're trying 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., there's no other 9 a.m. and there's no other 10 a.m. that particular day. So you would have to wait a week to send it out to the rest of the people. So that's no good. So that makes perfect sense when you think about it. And then from there on, it's just like creating a regular email newsletter. So that is kind of the advanced stuff that I like to show people when you're using an email newsletter.
Well, I hope that helped you. I hope that gives you some ideas of things that you can do with these advanced features. So, just to recap, some ideas that you may be thinking of is with autoresponders. When someone joins your church, they could get an automatic email with all the links and all the resources that you've already created about the history of your church, the organizational structure of your church, or even volunteer opportunities. And they could get those spaced out automatically. You can decide to send those on days that you're not sending the email newsletter, and so they won't get overburdened with too many emails from your church. With A/B testing, what your entire idea is that you would take the email and you would test it so that you can be the most noticeable, because we all get a ton of email, let's face it. How can you be most noticed? How can you make it so that the people are most likely to open and read your email and click on the links? The reason for this isn't to manipulate people, it's just so that you can be noticed. Because let's face it, if your email looks like one that they just automatically delete, then that's no good. You want to be clear that this is from the church and it's something that they want, and you may not know immediately what that is. So I hope that you really get your mind working and you start to have some ideas about that. Well, I hope that helped you. I hope that this is some information that can help you and your church as you're going out and changing eternity. If you like this information, don't hesitate to subscribe by heading over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/subscribe. And there you can get my email newsletter, and you can also subscribe to this content. An even better way to do it, though, is by heading over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, GIFTS. There you can pick up some free gifts for you and your church, and of course a free copy of my email newsletter. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with trinitydigitalmedia.com.